ना तो हमारे घर पे लाइक एक अंकल आए, काफ़ी ओल्ड एज अंकल थे। तो आई डोंट नो हिम, मैं उनसे मिली, मेरे फादर भी वहीं पे थे। सो ही सेड टू मी कि बेटा आप शायद मुझे जानते नहीं होगे, बट बहुत साल आपके फादर ने मेरे पास काम किया है। लाइक मेरे माई फादर वाज कार्ट पुलर, सो मेरे पापा ने उनके पास बहुत साल काम किया। एंड ही इज़ लाइक कि तेरे पापा ने बहुत स्ट्रगल किया एंड मेरे पास 80 रुपीज़ में भी काम किया, लाइक वन डे 80 रुपीज़ अर्न करने के लिए ना। सो उनके साथ उनकी ग्रैंड डॉटर थी एंड ही सेड कि देन आई वाज ऑलरेडी इमोशनल कि मेरे पापा ने इतना स्ट्रगल करके हम लोगों को बड़ा किया, एंड दैट पर्सन टुडे इज़ एट आवर होम। एंड सो उसने जब मुझे बोला कि मेरी ग्रैंड डॉटर भी हॉकी खेलना चाहती है एंड मुझे एवरीडे बोलती है कि मुझे भी रानी की जैसा बनना है, सो आई वाज लाइक कि दैट इज़ माय रियल सक्सेस इन लाइफ। जो मैं चेंज देखना चाहती थी कि लड़कियों के लिए ना कि कोई, क्योंकि मैंने भी एक दिन यही सोच के शुरू किया था कि मैं लाइक हमारे वहाँ बहुत सारी लड़कियाँ होती थी, जैसे सुरिंदर कौर, जसजीत कौर, ये सब लोग होते, तो मुझे लगता था मुझे इनके जैसा बनना है। सो आई वाज लाइक कि मुझे भी एक दिन कुछ ऐसा करना है कि यहाँ से लड़कियाँ जिस दिन बोले कि हमें भी उसके जैसा बनना है, या पेरेंट्स उनको इनकरेज करें खेलने के लिए, कि जैसे मेरे पेरेंट्स ने मुझे नहीं किया था बट पेरेंट्स खुद आके बोले कि ये खेलना चाहते हैं। सो मुझे लगता है मेरे लिए वो एक लाइफ की सबसे बड़ी अचीवमेंट थी कि मैंने कुछ चेंज करने के लिए वुमेंस के लिए सोचा एंड वो हुआ। एंड स्पेशली मेरे पेरेंट्स ने वो चेंज होते हुए देखा, तो दे आर हैप्पी कि एटलीस्ट हमने जो डिसीजन लिया था वो एक अच्छा डिसीजन था लाइफ का।
Wonderful, and we hope that many new Ranis come up from all over India, not only in hockey but in other sports as well. There is another question I want. There is another episode I want you to tell our audience, but in a while we'll get to the others. वो मोदी जी वाला कहानी तो सुनाना ही होगा, but first I want to now hand it to Nilam for the next question.
थैंक यू शर्मिष्ठा। रानी, जो आपने एक बात बताई ना, वो ऐसा लग रहा था जैसे फिल्मों में हम देखते हैं ना, वो वैसी कहानी है, राइट? कि कहाँ से आप सितारों की बुलंदी पर हो और आपको देखकर लोग इंस्पायर्ड हो रहे हैं। यही पॉजिटिव चेंजेस हम चाहते हैं। बट देन अगेन माय क्वेश्चन गोज टू तानिया। तानिया, चेस बोर्ड पे क्वीन सबसे पावरफुल होती है, किंग से भी ज़्यादा पावरफुल होती है, लेकिन रियल लाइफ में विमेन स्टिल फेस जेंडर बायस। तो मेरा सवाल आपसे है कि आप आइकॉनिक प्लेयर हो हमारे देश के, वी लुक अप टू यू, क्या आपको भी कभी ऐसे प्रेजुडिसेस का सामना करना पड़ा, और समथिंग दैट यू हैव सीन एंड यू विल नेवर फॉरगेट?
Hi everyone. I think that's a great question. I think this is too loud. But so we're often asked about these analogies that we make with the chessboard and the game and the many challenges that we face in the world. Firstly, I want to say that sports in general, any sport, is a great equalizer. It's a great tool to break any barriers, including gender, where you come from, but it depends on how it's used. When we talk about chess, the queen is the most powerful piece on the board, but think about it, right? Its power only depends on how much you let it play, how much you let it go out and you build your attack with it. If I have a queen on the chessboard and I lose it, I probably lose the game. But also, if I have a queen and I don't let it play, I don't let it wield its power, I keep it behind, I keep passive, I'm not going to win a game of chess. And I think that's what often happens in our culture. I would say traditionally, women have always put focus and made to be put focus primarily on being homemakers, and ambition and career has been secondary. I think this has to be a choice. This has to be a choice that has to be made. You can't give women just education but stop them from going after opportunities and their dreams. You have to also give them the wings to fly. And those were the challenges that I feel was something that I had to overcome. मैं काफ़ी blessed हूँ कि I come from a family which, मेरा भाई है, but कभी ऐसा नहीं था कि मेरे भाई को sports में डालना है और मुझे नहीं डालना। पढ़ाई के मामले में भी my parents were very key We just want you to do what you decide to do, but do it at the best of your ability. And I think that's the reason why I'm sitting here today, to be able to have achieved what I have, because I was not stopped. I wasn't just given the tools, but I was allowed to experiment and play with them. So there are definitely challenges that exist for women in the sports field. And as Rani was telling her story, I think doing what we love, being able to play for the country, achieving for the country. If in this journey, अगर हम 100 लड़कियों को, 500 लड़कियों को, हजारों लड़कियों को inspire कर सकते हैं to go after their dreams, after what they want to achieve, that is a huge privilege for us, a huge success for us.
क्या बात है, ब्रिलियंट, वेल सेड. एंड ऑन दैट नोट मैं ये कहूँगी कि अभी बहुत सारे पॉजिटिव चेंजेस यस हो रहे हैं और हमें देखने को भी मिल रहा है कि औरतें किस मुकाम पे पहुंची, राइट शर्मिष्ठा?
Yes, exactly, Nilam. And as Tania was saying, that women should not be stopped. You cannot, exactly your point, we cannot give them an education and say, this is your limit, this is your roof. You cannot, go over that roof. We cannot say that. But, and as, we are noticing changes are happening. It's not that they are not happening. There's still a way to go. So for the first time in the history of this country, we have a woman IOA president. That's a big takeaway. I'll narrate a small episode before I come to Anju. We were at the from Rev Sports, we were covering the Birmingham CWG. And after Rani Devi got a medal, we were interviewing her. And she said she comes from the Northeast and her father has a grocer's shop. And she said that if it was not for the top scheme, I would not be here because I cannot ask my family for money. It is only because of the top scheme that I can play, and I can also support my family from there. And her family did not have enough money, the broadcaster which was showing the games, they did not have enough money to get that channel. So I think they went to a neighbor's house or some such thing. So it just shows that, because we have these changes that have happened infrastructurally, there is inclusivity and empowerment, that women can overcome all odds of whatever situation they are in, and they can triumph. So Anju, please give us your thoughts, since you are an administrator, you have been an athlete, you have your own academy. Tell us your thoughts on inclusivity and empowerment going forward.
Nowadays, athletes, as you said, there are a lot of supporting system behind them. Stops one among that. And because of that, I think many athletes are able to compete actually. Because sport is not that easy, it's very expensive events, and buying some equipment it's not an easy task. See, Gopi was saying he was about to sell his property for his academy. See, I'm also doing the same thing. I'm selling my lands for building the academy and infrastructure. I'm not doing for my kids, I'm doing for the next generation. And it's our passion. And there are many hands now supporting us, but still the infrastructure development is very difficult task for us. But see, people like us are also in this coming back and supporting our system. So the sports now is in a state that any talents can come up and they can do well. See, I'm here, Rani was saying because of her father, she is here. My story is different. It was my mother who was supporting me. I am from middle class family, but still it was in my mind. After 17, I want to be independent. I don't want any money from my family. I want to be independent. So that was in my thought, and I was working hard from very young age. Though they were able to support, but it was in my mind. So I think every athlete having some sort of stories behind their success. And nowadays, actually, the change what we are seeing in Indian sport is because of the existing system. The support what we are getting from the corporates and from the government and from the individual. It's a collective effort, and federations. So it's a collective effort from the entire ecosystem, and athletes are performing well in international level.
Excellent, and if we can empower our athletes, especially our women, they become economically independent, they have a stronger backbone, and they can go anywhere from there. So, Neelam, you want to
यस एब्सोल्युटली, और इसके लिए बहुत ज़रूरी है कि चारों तरफ से सपोर्ट मिले, चाहे वो पुरुष खिलाड़ी हो या महिला खिलाड़ी हो। स्पेशली आज हम मेंटल हेल्थ की भी यहाँ बात कर रहे हैं कि हर क्षेत्र के लिए आपका मेंटल हेल्थ भी सही होना ज़रूरी है। मेंटल हेल्थ से मेरा मतलब है ओवरऑल कि आप फोकस कर पाओ, आपको किसी तरह का डिस्ट्रक्शन ना हो। तो मैं मनु से पूछना चाहूँगी, मनु आप यंग खिलाड़ी हो, बहुतों के लिए इंस्पिरेशन हो, इनफैक्ट आपको देखकर बहुत सी लड़कियाँ आगे बढ़ना चाहती हैं। सो मैं आपसे जानना चाहूँगी कि किसी भी एज में हो, स्पेशली एट यंग एज, कोई अनचाही कंट्रोवर्सी, कोई भी बात सोशल मीडिया पे हो या किसी कहीं भी हो, वो डेफिनेटली कहीं ना कहीं जाकर आपकी मानसिकता पे वो असर करती है, फोकस पे शायद असर करती ही होगी। उससे निपटना कितना टफ होता है एंड हाउ डू यू फेस सच चैलेंजेस, और वापस कैसे आप फोकस कर लेते हो? ये सीखने वाली बात है बहुतों के लिए।
Okay, so firstly, I would suggest कि controversies में पढ़ो ही ना. Athletes, being an athlete, just stay away from politics and controversies as much as you can. But at the same time, अपने views रखना सामने and speaking up for yourself, for your teammates, or for your rights is equally important. So I think sometimes the controversies are inevitable. You just cannot stop yourself. Because you need to speak about some things and then you go ahead and do that. After that, I would say if you tweeted something controversial, then probably just keep the phone aside for a few days and then see what happens, what turns it takes. But for me, I don't really get myself so much involved into the social media, so it doesn't affect me that much. Just stay away, the athletes. Controversies, no, just stay away.
So what you're saying is staying away from all controversy is best for the athlete's mental health, but sometimes it is true that you cannot avoid it.
Yeah, that's my point.
So I'm going to circle back to Rani because I want everybody present here to hear that story, while I was talking to Rani, this was my wonderful wow kind of moment in the conversation. So please tell us that moment in your life which was a wonderful moment when your father went with you. Please tell them.
Last night she was asking me कि अभी तक लाइफ का सबसे अच्छा जो वाओ मोमेंट होता है ना वो क्या था. So I was like कि yes, बहुत सारे मोमेंट्स हैं, एक नहीं है कि एक बोलें कि एक मोमेंट ऐसी है, लेकिन बट सबसे वाव मोमेंट था कि जब मुझे 2020 में पद्मश्री अवार्ड मिला एंड मेरे फादर मेरे साथ गए दिल्ली, यू नो, एंड सो वो जब वहाँ पे प्राइम मिनिस्टर से यू नो अवार्ड सेरेमनी के बाद प्राइम मिनिस्टर जी सबको मिल रहे थे, सबके जो भी साथ आए थे उनको मिल रहे थे, एथलीट्स को मिल रहे थे. तो उन्होंने मेरे फादर का लाइक हैंड पकड़ के उन्होंने बोला कि मेरे को आपकी बेटी से ज़्यादा आपके ऊपर गर्व है कि आपने उस टाइम पे इसको स्पोर्ट्स खेलने के लिए दिया जहाँ पे कोई सोच भी नहीं सकता कि यहाँ कोई स्पोर्ट्स भी कर सकता है. एंड माई फादर वाज स्टार्टेड क्राइंग, मतलब डेट वाज अ हैप्पी टीयर्स. सो and that was also a emotional moment for me, and I was like कि मेरी life में I know I didn't win an Olympic medal, but this is an Olympic medal for me because एक father एक छोटे से गांव से उठ के जो कभी मैंने भी कभी नहीं सोचा था हम कभी प्राइम मिनिस्टर से मिलेंगे, कभी कंट्री के लिए खेलेंगे, बट मेरे फादर ने तो डेफिनेटली कभी नहीं सोचा था कि कभी प्रेसिडेंट से भी मिल सकते हैं या प्राइम मिनिस्टर से मिल सकते हैं. एंड एक प्राइम मिनिस्टर जब उनको ऐसी बात बोल रहे हैं, एंड देन व्हेन ही वेंट बैक होम, सो सब लोग यू नो उनको कि हाँ आप प्राइम मिनिस्टर से मिल के आए हो, आपकी क्या बात हुई है, क्या बोला है, बिकॉज सबके लिए बहुत बड़ी मूवमेंट होती है एक लाइफ की ना कि आप कंट्री के प्राइम मिनिस्टर आपको कोई चीज़ बोल रहे हैं. अदरवाइज तो वैसे पास बाय भी कर सकते थे, मतलब कि बिना कोई बात किए, बट सो डैट वाज आई थिंक देन मुझे लगा कि जब जैसे जैसे वो जिस भी पेरेंट्स ने या लड़कियों ने देखा होगा तो सबके दिल में आता है. बिकॉज अगर मैं छोटी थी तो मेरे दिल में भी डेफिनेटली आता था और बच्चों के दिल में आया होगा कि काश मेरे पेरेंट्स भी कभी यू नो ऐसे प्राइम मिनिस्टर से मिल पाएँ, काश मैं भी कुछ ऐसा कर पाऊँ कि जिसकी वजह से हम भी कभी प्राइम मिनिस्टर से मिल पाएँ. सो आई थिंक दोज द थिंग जो हम चेंज यू नो हमारे से पहले भी बहुत सारे जो थे उन्होंने वो चेंज लेके आने की कोशिश की. तो हमें इंस्पायर किया एंड दिस इज़ द सेम थिंग वी आर ट्राइंग टू डू कि हम आने वाली जनरेशन को इंस्पायर करें कि जिससे मे भी हो सकता है शायद 100 बच्चे देखेंगे तो शायद 50 तो इंस्पायर होंगे उसमें से कुछ करने के लिए ना, बिकॉज अगर वो सेम चीज़ सेम विजन आपकी तरह देख रहे हैं कि मुझे स्पोर्ट्स में कुछ करना है या मुझे किसी और फील्ड में कुछ करना है, सो आई थिंक हम सब लोग को इंस्पिरेशन जैसे हमें किसी से मिली है तो इंस्पायर करने की बहुत ज़रूरत है एंड इट्स वेरी सिंपल कि अगर हम डू इट बाय एग्जांपल सो वो बहुत जल्दी समझ में आता है सबको, बिकॉज यू नो आप सब लोग घर में बच्चों को भी देखते हैं, अगर किसी को हम बोलेंगे बच्चों को आपको फ़ोन नहीं चलाना तो वो कभी सुनेंगे नहीं, मतलब क्योंकि हम किसी को चीज़ फोर्सफुली करा रहे हैं वो नहीं होता, बट जब हम खुद वो चीज़ नहीं करते ना बच्चे डेफिनेटली देखने से बहुत जल्दी सीखते हैं, मतलब मैं तो देखने से बहुत जल्दी सीखती हूँ कोई चीज़ गुड और बैड, सो आई थिंक हमें एक अच्छी एग्जांपल सेट करने चाहिए एंड आई एम ट्राइंग माय बेस्ट कि और भी ज़्यादा लड़कियों के लिए एक अच्छे एग्जांपल सेट कर सकें.
Wonderful, Rani. Wonderful, words from you. And what you just said, if this is not empowerment and inclusivity after a long struggle, then what is? This is empowerment, inclusivity, and I think the parents of all these women, they deserve the golden crown for taking the first step towards empowering women. Your parents, your father, who I know is, very hands-on and involved. Tania, your parents who gave you the equal opportunity with your brother. I'm sure there are lots of other parents like that. And Anju, of course, as you said in the previous panel, your mentor, mother, everything to your athletes. So we will have time for 1 or 2 questions if anyone wants to ask. Any questions?
This is actually for, I mean, anyone can take it, but more specifically for Manu. Manu, since Tokyo, and we were all there, what I've seen in you is a kind of a Zen attitude towards criticism. That particular day to now, and we've spoken to each other several times, and that's why I'm asking this, narratives of change, inclusivity and empowerment. Has Tokyo actually, when you think back, all that negativity made you a stronger and better and a more confident athlete?
So we all face criticism in our lives, and my mantra is if we only look at the criticism, then we will not let ourselves fly high. So it's like the more you think about the bad side, the more you are dragging yourself and starting to doubt yourself. So the better way is to just think about what you did wrong, why they are criticizing you, and if you think कि कुछ उससे निकल रहा है, then take notes of it. Just work on it, but do not get mentally or emotionally consumed by the criticism. Rather, just look on the brighter side. कि there are people who will criticize you, there are people who are criticizing you. But उसके opposition में वो भी हैं लोग जो even if you lose, despite of the consequences, they are there looking forward to support you further, and they love you still. So yes, the incident has definitely made me a lot stronger, and I would say I'm a lot calmer person now. So the Tokyo Olympics has changed me as a person as well, but the point is, do not let the criticism get up to your head. Yeah.
May I ask one more?
Yes, of course.
Tania, you've done media work in the past, and I'm referring to the Tata Steel chess, where you've done commentary as well. That's a very different art, but you've straddled both worlds really well. Would you say that athletes, because of the experience, because of your experience and all the achievements, being a player yourself, allows you to be better at that empowers you to be better? And is that something more and more athletes going forward should try?
What athletes should try going forward is, again, a very personal choice for them, but I completely agree with you that a knowledge, a passion for the game empowers you to do whatever you decide to do. I think it instills a lot of discipline. There's a lot of character building that happens. For me, commentary is also something that I'm passionate about. So it was definitely helped by the fact that I also love playing. It's a little hard to balance the both, but I'm trying to do my best. And I will, as long as I'm part of the Indian team. It's something that really drives me a lot. We've been talking so much about inclusivity and empowerment. There's just one point that I want to make on that while I'm listening to everyone's stories here as well, that both inclusivity and empowerment, I think it's very important to understand these terms as not further dividing gender roles, but actually blurring those gender lines. And as much as women sporting icons have a role to play in that, so do the men. So do all of you here, whether, it is athletes, it is family, as you mentioned. I think, we were talking about who supported us. We were mentioning our family members, fathers, brothers. And I think that's the whole thing, that I do believe that with every successful woman, really definitely behind her is also a very progressive man. And that progressive man can be your father, he can be your brother, he can be your partner. It could be progressive companies that are out there supporting women athletes. So it's very important that inclusivity and empowerment is a lot about working together towards equal opportunities.
That was my starting statement in the morning as part of my introduction. You weren't there, but absolutely agree.
Yes, please, please.
So I just need to share one little incident with you all. So when previous to the shooting sport, I was into martial arts, and the martial art, I loved martial arts. I was very, very passionate about it. But जो हमारे कोच थे, उन्होंने ये बोल के कि we are not any longer supporting the female athletes. So because we only have 2 female athletes in the academy, so we would like to only train boys and not the women. So I'm sorry, but आपको कल से academy आने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. That was so
devastating.
Devastating, yes. And another thing today is this conclave. I very much appreciate being a part of this, and I think similar events like this conclave should happen in the future, because this is the platform where being an athlete, we feel that we are heard, and we make points, and we can discuss about things that are bothering us, or we can probably talk about things that inspire us, share each other's journeys. So I'm very much looking forward to the next event as well. And thank you for having me here.
And it was a delight and a pleasure to have all of you wonderful women here on stage. And this is a conclave that is going to celebrate Women's Day. So thank you all of you for being here. And Nilam, thank you for co-hosting. So for the
And to do the honors in terms of Rahul. So we just continue there. Okay, so what we'll do is, ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for all my panel. Why don't you come? We'll have the photo up. Sharmistha, on stage for the photo up. Tania has, the last one, okay. So what we'll do is we'll felicitate them formally at the end of the last session, because all of them, especially Tania, she's not been part of it in the earlier session, so we'll give her a gift at the end of it because all of them are together. So we'll do the photo op now. All my panelists, put your hands together for Nilam, for Anju, for Rani, for Manu, Tania, and of course Sharmistha. That brings us to the end of this particular session. No break. You can all have your gifts at the end. All of you collect your gifts from the registration counter at the end of the last session. Ladies and gentlemen, celebrating narratives of change, inclusivity and empowerment, moving on to the last session. Thank you very much. And again, part of the last session, thank you. Anju, I will ensure you take your flight. Not to worry. Thank you very much. Photographs done. May I? So, can we have on stage Deepika Kumari, Joshna Chinappa, Vinesh Fogart, Tania Sachdev, Deepa Malik, Mehuli Ghosh. Deeptik hasn't made it because of the burn. Sakshi Malik. And that's our last. Why don't you also join us? Join us, celebrate the